Hey, it's Fabienne. Before we dive into today's episode called Why We Say Yes When We Actually Mean No, I wanted to hop on really quickly and share two things with you. The first is that I want to acknowledge you. You are an incredible woman. You are giving. You have a big heart, and you are so worthy of all of the abundance in the world. And I just want to remind you that if you don't get to hear it today, if you haven't heard it yet, if you're not going to hear it tomorrow, and you may say, we've never met. And here's what I want to tell you. We may not have met. We may not have worked together yet. But if you're anything like the listeners that I have met, and the longtime Bold Heart business members who listen to each episode, just the fact that you are here tells me so much about the kind of woman you are. The person who wants to make her life better, who wants to serve better in her work. And so just a little reminder that you work really hard and you give a lot of yourself, and I see you and I appreciate you for being here and just the person you are. The second thing that I wanted to share with you is that I launched something this week, something really close to my heart. I've been working on it for more than 2 years. I believe my life purpose in action, and it's called the Bold Heart Woman Program. Now, you may know that I'm a business coach. I've been a business coach for 25 years. I've worked with thousands, tens of thousands of women. And along the way, in one shape or another, they've all told me that they're going through the motions of life, that they put the needs of others before their own. And sometimes they look around and say, is this all there is to life? Do I deserve more than prioritizing everybody's needs before my own? And if this is you, and you'd like to create a really delicious life in a sisterhood with the company of other women who want to have it all, but whatever all means to them, I would be so honored to guide you on this journey to becoming what I call a bold heart woman, reclaiming your voice, your choice, and embodying that femininity that maybe you've pushed down for far too long. If it speaks to you, if there's a little bit of stirring in your soul as you're listening to me, I invite you to go to boldheartwoman.com. I've also linked it in the show notes, and go watch the video that's towards the top of the page. If it speaks to you, if you resonate with the message, then please join us. We start this week. I'm about to send a message to all the ladies in the WhatsApp who've been introducing themselves so vulnerably. Perhaps you deserve to be there. Go check it out. And if it speaks to you, join me. Okay, on to the episode. I hope you love it. Today on the Fabienne Show podcast, we are talking about why we women say yes when we actually mean no. Why do we do that? In fact, yesterday, I was talking to one of our Bold Heart business members. If you don't know, I have a program that helps women scale their business to 7 figures while creating a delicious life and lots of time off. This question came up, which wasn't even a question at first. She said, I have this client. When they ask me last minute to do something, whether it's 10 p.m. or get this done by the next day, sometimes I meet them very late in the evening on Zoom or phone, sometimes at 2 a.m. I was really shocked by that. I said, really? You agree to meet with them so late? I wasn't making her wrong, but she shared with me that this is part of her service in the sense that she feels like she's here to take care of the client's needs at all costs. It started a conversation in our Zoom meeting where several women talked about the fact that this is what they do with their clients. And this is also what they do in their personal life. They put others first and say yes when they actually mean no. This is seemingly a struggle for a lot of women. I've noticed that it's deeply rooted in social conditioning, fear of judgment, fear of abandonment, and this desire of being liked. In today's episode, we are going to explore why we say yes when we mean no and how it impacts us and the tools that you can use if this is something that shows up in your own life to confidently say no without guilt. So let's talk about the roots of saying yes when we mean no. What I've discovered in my own life as a woman walking around this planet for 54 years is that there is this cultural conditioning that we as women are raised to prioritize the needs of others over our own. We are taught to say yes because otherwise we would be disagreeable. It's much better to accommodate other people's requests. By saying yes, we become likable and more valuable in people's lives. Now, you can think about this if you have your own business, about all the times that you say yes to clients. Maybe if you've heard of scope creep, where you have a set amount of hours or a particular project parameter, sets of parameters that you're being paid for, and yet the client keeps asking for more and you say yes without charging more. Or perhaps it's in your personal life. You belong to a few boards, maybe the PTA, the Girl Scouts, the book club. Maybe you enjoy the book club, but maybe you don't. Or you sign up for things, or you say yes to neighbors or friends or family, while deep down, you don't actually want to do that thing. You wouldn't choose to do that thing. So where does this come from? One, I believe it starts with that cultural conditioning that we as women, whether in business or life, are valuable when we overgive, when we don't really listen to what we really want to say and really want to do, and instead go by the requests of others. I also feel that there's this fear of judgment or fear of rejection that crops up. I believe it's this feeling that we will disappoint people or be seen as selfish or the B word, BITCH. So because we don't want to be that, we say yes. We roll over. We acquiesce. I did some work a few years ago in this workbook called the Self-Esteem Workbook. I've recommended it to so many of my clients in business. You wouldn't think it's a business book, but indeed it can be. One of the most powerful things I got from the Self-Esteem Workbook was this distinction between external validation and internal validation. This concept that when we want to feel good about ourselves, when we want to feel valuable, we begin to overcommit or agree to things that don't align with our desires rather than validation from within, feeling that we are worthy as is without having to buy, if you will, our worthiness through the yes. Now, I just did a Zoom masterclass this week with several hundred women who came for my Awaken Your Feminine conversation. First time I've ever done this Awaken Your Feminine as a way of reclaiming your life, reclaiming your time, your voice, and your choice. The cost of saying yes when we mean no. What happens when we do this, I honestly believe, sisters, that we do this a lot of times unconsciously, or it's become such a habit that we don't even notice that we do it. I've noticed that there is this resentment that creeps up, this burnout. How often we say yes leads to feeling overextended, exhausted, resentful, and completely disconnected to our own needs, our priorities, our desires. I want you to think about what areas of your life you feel resentful in. Is it with your clients? Is it with your team? Is it maybe your spouse, your kids? Are you still saying yes to doing the laundry for your teenagers, even though they're fully capable of doing their own laundry or emptying the dishwasher? How is this creating some sort of burnout in your own life, or maybe the life of someone you know? I also believe that it leads to this loss of authenticity and fulfillment. This can cause us to lose sight of our true essence, like who we really are underneath all of this, our desires, our values, and even our self respect. I may have mentioned this in another episode, but I have been in my early years in abusive relationships, 2 different abusive relationships. I'm a totally different person now, but accepting what I didn't want to accept deep down completely eroded my confidence, my sense of self, and my self respect. I was actually speaking to this client yesterday about this idea that anybody who asks you to do something that you don't want to do is really, this is an abusive thing. We don't talk about it that way because it's so common. I was saying to her that a fish in water doesn't realize that it's in water, right? You've heard that expression. This has an impact on our relationships because when we say yes consistently, we set up these unrealistic expectations, and it makes it harder to set boundaries later. So maybe there is something in your life where you've said yes to, and at this point you're so far into it that you feel like you can't set boundaries and be taken seriously. Again, whether it's work or life. If it's in business, maybe you're working evenings and weekends and you don't take many unplugged vacations because you've said yes so much. I'm not making you wrong. My gosh, this is an epidemic, and it has been for hundreds, if not thousands of years. I want to discuss now why it's so hard to say no as a woman. The first thing is the good girl syndrome. Many of us were raised with the concept of good girl and bad girl. I think I don't even need to explain either of these to you because you probably know already what it means. We women are conditioned to be people pleasers, believing that our value lies in making others happy, taking care of their needs. Many of us have a fear of conflict, a fear of confrontation. This fear of disappointing others, I believe, is at the root of saying no. There is this sense of safety that we feel that we need as women in this world, maybe because we're not strong enough physically, or at least that's what society tells us, where there's this deep-seated, I don't know how else to say it, fear of saying no. The fear of saying no and being abandoned or criticized or judged is greater than, oh, I'll just do it. I'll just take care of that, or I'll say yes, because that feels less heavy, if you will. I also believe that there is this scarcity, this feeling that we would miss opportunities, whether it's personally or professionally. If I say no to having that conversation at 10 p.m. on a Sunday with that client, I may lose the client, and I don't want to lose that money, or I don't want to say no to that cooking for the fundraiser or whatever it is because I don't want to lose friends. So it's difficult to start to say no. But how do we say no elegantly and reclaim back our time? That's the conversation that I've been having for years with our members, both of our business program and just women altogether, is the idea of reframing no as an act of self-love, that boundaries are self-love in action. Today, I want to help you reframe the word no as self-care, deep self-care. Understanding that no is a way of honoring who you are as a woman, bringing dignity back to you, yourself, your life, just even the state of womanhood, that You get to set boundaries, and you can do so elegantly. And it's not selfish. It's an act of self-respect. I want you to think about if you have a daughter or a young woman, or if you want a daughter, would you want her to say yes to things that she doesn't want to say yes to? The answer is probably no. And that young woman is still within you too. If we really dig deep, saying no is not about closing doors. It's about opening doors. Saying no to things that don't align with who you are, what you want, actually creates space for you to live a life that you want. If it's for business, it creates space for you to have more clients and get paid more, or even just get paid more from that particular customer or client, and just room for what truly matters to you and excites you. So we tend to think that saying no is going to close doors, but I'm inviting you to look at it in a completely different way. That no is self-care, no opens doors, and no is also personal empowerment. When you confidently say no, each time you do, and you can do this elegantly, you build your own self-respect. You build your own confidence. You strengthen your authenticity, and you reinforce your self-worth. I just want you to think about some areas of your life where you could start to say no. Maybe it's, oh, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm not going to accept, but I know you're going to find someone else even more perfectly suited for this. Or thank you so much for having me on your board all these years. At this time in my life, it doesn't feel like something I want to continue doing. I am so grateful for having been of service to this organization for all these years, but it's time for me to move on. You can say no elegantly, and you don't really have to give an excuse or a reason, but it helps you regain your time, regain your confidence, regain yourself. In fact, this is something that I'm building into a new offering that I've put out there this week, something that's been super close to my heart for 2 years. It's a program called Bold Heart Woman that teaches you how to reclaim your voice, your choice, your time, your femininity, so you can create a delicious life that you love. We talk about boundaries in this program. We will learn how to say no in a feminine way, where it doesn't feel like we're going to have people abandon us, but rather respect us more. If you want to learn more about this program, please go watch the video on boldheartwoman.com. It is something that I believe every woman needs in this day and age, a reclamation of herself. Go check that out if it speaks to you. I want you to practice this week taking a moment before you agree to anything. Maybe you say, let me think about that and get back to you. If it's somebody asking you something in business, you can say, you know what, let me check with the team. Let's see what they have to say, and I'll come back to you in the next couple of days. What that does is it creates a buffer, because we're so trained, we're so accustomed to just answering right away because we don't know what to say, that if you create that little buffer by pausing or by saying, you know what, let me get back to you, you can collect your thoughts, you can breathe, you can come up with an answer, a solution for getting out of it. This is about starting small and saying no in really low stakes situations. Maybe it's saying no to an invitation that's something small. Maybe not saying no to a wedding, but going for a walk with a friend who's really negative. You could just say, you know what, it doesn't feel like something I want to do today. Just practice, right? Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. Or that's not going to work for me, but I so appreciate you asking me. Thank you for asking me. I am not available for that, but I really hope it goes well for you. You can also set boundaries proactively. What I mean by that is setting boundaries in advance so that you can reduce the number of situations where you feel pressured to say yes. One of the things I say is, I've got a really busy few weeks ahead. When I set that precedent, somehow it makes it easier when I say no down the road. This is about trusting the outcome, allowing yourself to know that you are not a bad girl or bad person if you say no. This is really hard for some women to hear, but even if they think you are a bad person for saying no, doesn't actually mean that you are. You have a big heart. You are generous in spirit. I'm a super generous person, but there's a difference between generosity and servitude. The difference between the two is how you feel. So I want to encourage you to trust that the right people and the right opportunities will respect your boundaries. If they don't, maybe you were encountering some form of abuse, however mild. Because really, this whole thing is about self-worth. Saying no, setting boundaries is an act of self-love. Understand that your worth isn't tied to how much you do for others or how nice you are. You're nice without doing anything. You are worthy just because you were born. It's actually the very first chapter of my book, Embrace Your Magnificence. You were born worthy from the minute you took your first breath. You don't need anybody's approval to approve of yourself. That's that internal validation as opposed to the external validation. So I want you to really think about what you do want to do in your business or your life and what's no longer acceptable. Take inventory. This is one of the things I do in my leveraged business program of Bold Heart Business is when we are in our 2-day activator about leveraging your time, we really take a huge inventory of where our time goes with our clients, with our team, with our family, with our friends. Who is it that's hijacking our time? What happens when you do this exercise is that we find that thousands of hours every year that could be used on business growth or that could be used for taking more spa days in our personal life are given to people who know exactly what they're doing. Ask yourself, perhaps it's something you want to write about in your journal, what would change in my life if I only said yes to what truly aligns with my values and my desires? This is so powerful. This is a big part of what Bold Heart Woman will be about, is reclaiming your voice, reclaiming your choice, reclaiming your life. That's when everything gets better. So I hope that in planting the seeds with you, that you don't have to say yes when you mean no, and pinpointing the cost of this habit and having you start little by little saying no with confidence, elegance, and clarity is actually life-changing. Saying no is a journey. It's not like a one-time thing, right? This is something that can take months to fully put in place. It could actually be a process that you engage in for several years. Knowing that it builds your confidence and it empowers you to create your life or your business your way. So I want you to practice that this week, at least once this week, whether it's in a big or a small way, and just check in with how that feels. Remember, every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to yourself. Because in the end, you are worthy of living a life and running a business that is not only aligned with your values and your desires, but just an act of self-love and self-care because you are worthy of it. That's the point of everything here. If what we talked about today struck a chord with you, if you are ready to reclaim your time, your joy, your power, and the woman beneath all of the obligations, and you feel called to dive deeper into this with my help, I want to personally invite you to check out and join me in my new program, Bold Heart Woman. It's a sacred sisterhood where an intimate group of us will gather every month to discuss how to reclaim our time. I have some powerful classes that you will have access to, and a feminine awakening book club to have you rediscover yourself and break free from the overwhelm. It's coaching, it's a sisterhood, it's powerful concepts and tools to use every day. It doesn't take a lot of time because I know you don't have a lot of time. If it's calling to you and you want to check it out, I invite you to go to boldheartwoman.com. Go check it out, go learn more, take the next step to a fulfilling life. I believe that you deserve something like this. Let me know what you think. And until then, keep setting greater boundaries because you deserve a delicious life. Thanks for being with me today. I love you.